anyone participating online or tuning in online. Thank you, virtual participants. Those of you who are here in person, you're all veterans. So you know, please sign the guest book. Thank you. Moving right along, the first item on the agenda is a review of the minutes. If you all don't mind, I'd actually like to defer this to the next meeting when Mr. Aceto and Mr. Stein will be here in person. Say we're all at that meeting. It's the way in. Thank you. And I apologize. Let me take 3 steps back. I attended the county commission meeting last Tuesday. And one of the things that I was reminded of there, at the beginning of their meeting, they have a vote to approve the meeting agenda. And I believe that is the proper way to proceed. And I apologize for never having included that step in any of the meetings that I have here since 2019. I've been more focused on hurry up and get it done. And what I would like to do now is 2 things. I would like to open up the subject of a review approval of the agenda. But before I do that, I would like to add 1 item, and that would be the first item after minutes. There's multi-partisan assistance team appointments. And without objection, I would like to just add that to the agenda. If anyone has any questions, issues with the agenda, now would bring it up. In the meantime, I will move approval of the agenda. Ask all those in favor to vote aye. Aye. Today, the motion carries 3-0. Do we have Ms. Stein online?
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Sally Stein, and welcome to the meeting. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all, and yes, I vote yes on the agenda.
Thanks. Sally, I have to admit that in the power standings for baseball, you're rated. You're not number 1. I don't know what the Dodgers are doing. That keeps them. I'm rooting for you.
Okay. Okay, and I hope that you guys can figure out what's going on with your ownership.
Don't get me started. All right. I'm sorry for that digression, but baseball. So MAP appointments is now the next item on the agenda. No, I was asked for Mr. Tate to go first, and he's going first.
I'm sitting here. Thank you. We have 3 names. That's we have 1.
Sally.
Oh, it's Sally. Do have an unaffiliated listed, but because we do not have stored present,
Right.
Just ignore that section. But these have been approved. Workers, so okay. As a reminder, we are still needing additional Republican volunteers. We have them, but we don't want to work them to death. So if you know of anyone who is interested in participating in the MAP program, please just have them reach out to us. We would love to have them. If not for the primary, definitely for the general, we're going to need more people. So spread the word. We'd be most appreciative for the assistance. And it is a paid position. Reminder that they are paid for their time.
Very recently, the county put out a press release soliciting to work on elections. And all you have to do is go to Election Services website and you'll see that. It's very interesting. And if you share that, and folks can get the word and see what the compensation level is, time requirements are. Hopefully they'll find that they can do it.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. We look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. Alrighty, the third item shall be office updates. Director Duncan.
Thank you. You have in the past, maybe. Let's do it.
Sure. Okay, I will make a motion. To
It's Director Duncan. Wait, I couldn't hear anything. Hello? Can you, yeah.
Hello? Can you hear me, Sally?
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
I sure can, loud and clear, thank you.
those on-off switches. Ms. Stein, what we're doing right now is I'm about to make a motion to approve the three names were submitted by the Democratic Party.
Ask them. Have a PDF of this.
Good.
All right, so without further ado, I move that we approve three names that were presented by staff. Open first. All those who are eligible to vote on the motion. If you are in favor, please say aye. Aye. And Ms. Stein, did you approve the motion?
Yes, I'm sorry,
Okay. The motion carries 3-0. And now that we have dotted that I, let us move along to item 3, office.
Thank you. So first of all, Happy New Year. This is our first meeting in the new year. And I wanted to just take a moment to talk about the accomplishments of 2023. I think that there were some good ones. We implemented Express Vote, which was part of our strategy to streamline and provide better service. We had other process improvements like that. Express Vote was the biggest, but we also streamlined the imaging of laptops. We have many laptops that go out to our voting locations. And also we work with strategy and innovation to work on our chief judge check-in process that we do at the railroads. We definitely made some process improvements that let's be pretty it's put it in a good. We also focus on team building for to prepare us for 2024 because there will be a lot of stress. We're going to have a really big team, and so that was an important thing to make sure that we created. And we did that through the board orientation, which I felt went really well, and I appreciated everyone's attendance to that. That was the first time that we had implemented something like that. Staff took 2 classes that were really helpful, one called Crucial Communications and another Trust Building class. And that's helped us. I just completed annual reviews. We had a lot of conversation stuff come up in there, and so that was really great for us getting that conversation. We also completed that North Carolina Together video project, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit and actually show you one of those videos. I'm excited about that. That was a statewide project. And then our continued work, and thanks to the parties for working together in the various ways that we do. Every single year gets better. We're going to talk a little bit about early voting appointments, which have changed this year later on. But at the beginning of when we appointed when we appointed the election day poll workers in August, which happens every year, that's a 2-year appointments, we only had 5 vacancies. That was amazing. It's amazing. So we're really working much better together to reduce better outcome. And we've also had less dropouts too. I think that with the new recruiting position, poll workers are more informed about what the duties are. And it's helping us reduce dropout. We also had a very successful municipal election with, which had changes in it. So we had the photo ID, which had impact on absentee by mail. We also had to stand up the photo ID issuing program that we have, the free photo IDs through the county boards. We did that, and then we also implemented express vote during the municipal elections. Those were all great things to have a small election to run those through, which sets us up really well for 2024, both communication on it and working out how all of the pieces fit together technically. So it takes a lot of groups, of course, to run an election. We're very happy to have all of the communication and working together that we have seen.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to, this isn't office update per se, I just wanted to give an update on something that I had mentioned in this meeting. That was that I was going to for the commissioners meeting on January 2nd to talk about the resolution we passed, you know, the salary. I must say the county commissioners were very interested in the topic. They realized that it was more complex than it seemed at first glance. And they were actively gathering more information to get a better sense of how complex, how challenging the director's role is in Buncombe County versus other. They're continuing their discussion at their next meeting, which is next Tuesday, January 16th. I'll be there for that. I don't plan to necessarily have a speaking role, but if anybody has a question, respond. So that's where it is. We don't have a decision, but I am reasonably optimistic to get a decision up or down. All know where that book.
Another thing that we accomplished in 2023 was putting together our team. We had a few vacancies on the team, and so we were able to hire those. And that was important to have done early so that people could learn their roles and be efficient at their jobs for 2020. We did get a candidate coordinator position in the budget. The county commissioners approved that in the last budget cycle. However, they approved it to begin in February 1st. And that timeline is pretty rough for us, especially if we want to advertise within a period that would allow other people from elections to apply for the position. And so we're going to have that position posted for a long period of time. So we'll get that posting created and then keep it open and start the interview process. That's our plan with that. So another one's coming, and then that will be the last piece to our staffing list. There are definitely some things that are also happening now. So of course there are the law changes. We've already talked about some of those: absentee by mail, photo ID, and then express vote. That's not a law change, but that is something that will be different for many early voters for Buncombe County in the next election. And we also have had the state board, it will be issuing a new voter registration. I think that some of you have heard about that. It's not out yet, but I wanted to bring that up so that you could answer questions if you ask. So there are, on the form, there are required sections, and the form will have other changes, but this is the change that I am aware of at this time. So on the form, you are required to submit the last four of your social security or your driver's license number. It doesn't, the form doesn't make it clear, it's not pink like the other required areas are. And so the form is going to make that more clear. And it's going to add a checkbox for if you don't have those two, then you need to provide holidays. Now, a change that is happening with this is that if one of those three is not provided, then that person doesn't get registered. In the past, that person would be registered and then they would have to show HAVA when they vote. So that's a difference that's happening. Are there any questions? We don't have the new form yet. It's supposed to be out in January.
Do you know which bill that was?
That was a response to a HAVA complaint.
Okay, so it wasn't a change in the law, it was a change.
Yeah, from the state.
Corinne, is that on the state board's website, an explanation of that?
I believe it is. I would have to look for that.
What do we anticipate will be the fallout on this? Do you have a sense of that?
So then maybe some numbers would be helpful. So voters that are currently in our system, that if we were in the old law, that actually will be grandfathered in, right? We have to grandfather in this process. There's 556 voters that when they come to vote would need to present HAVA ID. So the system says that to the poll worker, it pops up and says, this person needs to show HAVA ID. So those are people who registered before December 14th when this was issued by the state board. After December 14th, we have had 29 that fall under the new. And so 29 people who did not provide HAVA ID. So we sent them letters saying, please provide HAVA ID in order to be registered. The ones under the old rule is 556. And remember that our voter rolls are over 200.
So those people have to bring in a HAVA document or not?
They have to bring the 556.
Yeah.
They have to, when they're grandfathered in, so when they show up to vote, they have to either provide their driver's license, social security, or a HAVA.
Chairman Quinn, could you please explain what a HAVA document?
Okay, HAVA is the Help America Vote that was passed many, many years ago. There are elements of that law, because it's a federal, that supersede or kill. But HAVA.
I have a question. The question is, I realize that they are grandfathered in, but is there any reason why they can't provide a last four of their social and a driver's license to add to their registration so they don't have to do it?
Before,
Right.
yes.
So
Anyone can update their voter registration.
Is there any reason why we couldn't follow them and make them aware of it? So that they wouldn't have to bring a copy.
Definitely don't. We could look into to these 500.
Yeah, but well, I was looking over HAVA, just see, I didn't see anything in it that says they can't be updated. Because originally, the HAVA document was supposed to be, did not have one of the other documents. But there's been a lack of specifying whether they did or did not have those.
The state board has also said, of course, that they're will provide more information.
if somebody doesn't, for these 556, if they show up to vote and they don't have driver's license, social security number. Will they, do you know if they'll be able to vote provisionally and then bring that documentation in before campus?
Yes.
Unless they provide a hard document then.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm assuming most of these people will show up and I didn't got it. Supposed to bring stuff. Or maybe they will, I don't know.
Everybody who we didn't have, like,
Yeah,
before
it,
this,
it does make me reassured that they have another way they can vote that day. Provisionally, but
before we got this guidance, anybody who registered, but we didn't have any ID for, got a letter saying, hey, we didn't have this information. And then there was a place where they could have filled it in, sent it back to us, or it also says, can you bring, bring something to like in touch with. So they should have already been there.
And for the,
I've seen them come back.
I'm sorry, Fred, I probably mentioned this earlier, but for the 29 who came after the policy change. Are they, what were they told? How are they notified? That sort of thing?
So they come into our system and then we send a letter that's generated through the system, which is a state board letter that says, hey, you need to provide this ID before you registration is finalized.
So just so they come in, they fill out an application, voter application form. That's always accepted by the office. So, and then if there's any shortcomings, like they don't have a driver's license or social
They don't
security,
sign any of those.
then the letter goes out.
Yeah.
And then they've got to bring that in. If they don't, they can show up on election day. Cannot. They
They
could
will
not.
not be ready. You have to be registered 25 days before the election.
Oh, okay.
Unless you do we're not calling it one-stop early voting anymore. But can register and vote at the same time during that 2.5.
Yes,
So
so there's the
if-
same day registration and those voters can't bring their ID.
So they could come, those 29 people could come in to early voting, register. If they don't have any of the, the other documents, else, they can vote provisionally. And then submit that documentation before canvass and the ballot would be counted.
It would come to the board for your
Right.
approval or not.
Is there any reason that our poll workers cannot update? If someone comes in, doesn't have those documents, but provide a driver's license, is there any reason that they can't be updated?
I don't. But I think Mary Ann's asking
She's talking
more
about
maybe
capturing it.
real quick.
She's talking about capturing it in the database, so
Yeah.
going forward, you wouldn't have some problem with that, you already got it. Driver's license.
Technically, HAVA would be a document that you provide if you don't have either a driver's license or social security. So if they have one, it seems like we should be updating the registration where that wouldn't be required. So you can update it at my home.
When you get prompts to forward. ID,
Mhm.
you have an ID. Drop down box here, asks you as a poll worker, which one of these have you seen?
I don't think it updates their.
So that if you wanted to put in the last four of their social or their driver's license, the question is, do we have that opportunity? Okay, well then, that's, so it seems like we can't capture it in the.
Unless there's an update, and that's why we need to wait for the state. Finish and give us guidance.
Just complaint with the shakeout. So
Yes, yeah, that's. Down, which is exactly what you are.
I'm just curious, who filed the complaint?
Have these things off the top of my head,
That's fine.
sorry. But I can get that.
this is the December 22nd, or November 22nd.
November 28th.
Yes,
State
November
board meeting.
28th, meeting.
Interesting. And I know that I have the link to the original complaint. So I can't click, but I would assume it's on the state board's website. I think.
One
Yes,
last question, you just think the board will issue a memorandum on this?
I don't know, that's one of my 10 things. That was the hardest. It's new, it's different. Lots of reasons. All right, the next thing that I wanted to share is that we have developed some promotional materials that are really simple and easy to use. They're on our website, and I also forwarded them to the board in PDF form so that you can share them. But this is our 3 ways flyer that we always put out, and it's really simple. It makes sure that people know that they need to register, they can look up their voter information and get their sample ballot, and then choose which method you'd like to vote, and then there's the 3 types of voting. So that's a nice piece of material. Then we have an overview one that has all of the different voting types, schedule. It also talks about photo ID, express vote. That will be new when they vote. And then the early voting flyer, which is important for each county. Early voting program is a little different. So those are things that hopefully that you can share, and then also just help you be able to provide information. We have also sent out all new voter cards to the entire county as a result of all of the district changes. So the voter cards are for informational cards. Oh, perfect. Informational cards that have your voting information on them. You get them in the mail. That shows all of your district and your voting location. You can use this if there's changes. You can use this to make changes. But you don't need to bring this to vote. This is just for your information. It also helps us in our verification process. So we send a lot of those out. The next thing is that we have approved the final proofs of our ballots. So that's at the vendor now to create those. Once we create those, then sample ballots will be able to link sample ballots to voter records and sample ballots. So we're getting close there. It also, I also want to point out that absentee goes out in 10 days. 10 days absentee ballots go out. So, so we'll have those ballots ready in time for that process to happen. We talked about the candidate coordinator position and the schedule that we're looking at with that. But it's going well. It's gone through the HR process. So we'll be ready to have that posted. And anyone who would like to apply for that position, we encourage. That will be the person who interacts mostly with the candidates. They'll be doing filing. They will work with petitions. They will help candidates with their campaign finance reporting and all of it. They'll support Victoria. Training is coming. So early voting training starts this month on the 22nd. And then election day training starts on February 6th. We started printing all of those manuals today.
Can we get a list of those dates and places?
Yes. Okay, So that's most of the things. I wanted to end the update on something that I think is fun. Last year we started a project with the state and Buncombe County's PR team called the NC Together Video Project. So this project is a very short video, and we'll show you one of them. We ended up being able to make 3 different videos out of all of the materials that we gathered. But it is a project that's meant to show the community that community members that we are here to help vote. And we've got little clips from counties all across North Carolina. We had 32 counties participate, and they gave multiple videos too. So we had really good participation, and I think that you'll enjoy seeing them. And so what we're going to do is make that available to the entire state. So all counties can use it, put it on their website, use it for social media and outreach events. And we'll do a press release with that as well to help get the word out. And we hope it puts the positive vibes out there for the new year. So Devin, if you could show one of them, that would be fantastic. Also, I showed one of these to Karen Grinson-Bell, and she cried.
Oh.
From that to the thing,
Across North Carolina, work together with the same goal to secure
Accurate and accessible elections.
No matter the county you vote in,
You can rest assured that we, as election officials,
your neighbors and friends,
are dedicated to ensuring that your voice counts.
Thank you, North Carolina.
for the privilege to serve and strengthen the foundation of our democracy
Together, our voice echoes from creek to shore.
at all points in between.
Together.
They make me so happy.
et.ncspe.gov/BOE.
Yep, so the point is to be very simple, show the community connection, and then give very direct how you contact your board of elections. So we're very happy that we had such good participation and that we got the timing right. I think it's really good to put out for the new year. So I'm hoping that it catches fire and see these videos out there all of this year.
Director Duncan, I would like to thank you for your leadership on this project. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to know that this is a statewide project, but it was Buncombe County's idea. And it was Director Duncan and her staff working with CAPE and their staff that put this whole thing together. And it's all to help build trust in our operation. If anyone wants to show leadership, I don't think any county is similarly situated to Buncombe in this regard. Buncombe stands alone. Thank you. It helps everybody in the state.
I think that it's important that all of the counties contribute how they can, and they do. And that is why it's easy for me to do these projects, because I feel that community, and whenever I interact with people at the conferences or at our directors association meetings, it's all the same attitude of nonpartisanship and being there to help voters and it is nice. It's very easy to support that.
If anyone has good contacts with any of the TV stations, with PBS North Carolina, that's a great public service announcement right there. Great to see that on the air. I don't know how to accomplish something like that myself, but if any of you have any ideas. Before we move on, I do want to follow on one little item about these cards being sent out. Everybody got them. And so the office has received a lot. Because everybody in here knows what this card is about, But a lot of people in the community do not. They're thinking, do I have to bring this to go vote? What is this for? Any help that you can provide to your friends, neighbors, community about this kind of thing, please help them. Please help them understand that, no, you don't have to bring this, but make sure you bring something with your picture on it. And the reason we send this out is because we want everybody to know what their current districts are, where they're polling locations, so that they're fully informed before they go. But we have been getting a lot of phone calls as a result. I just need you to be aware of that. Just increases the. Let folks know what we got. Director Duncan, do you have any more office updates? I think that this sets the record for office updates. That was a ton of information. Thank you for the list of accomplishments. I'm sure that there are more than we. Good stuff. All right, moving right along. The next item 4 is appointment of early voting election officials. Director Duncan, Ms. Ray, this is a team effort.
Yes. Worked very closely with both party chairs and their assistants to get this accomplished. This is one of the law changes, so I wanted to point out a few things. So we're transitioning into the new law. And one thing that you'll see when Karen presents the list is that we have kept, for practical reasons, the name captain and worker, because training is in captain and worker, and they know themselves as captain and worker, and so that's something that we're going to have to move to transitioning to. I just didn't want you to be surprised that. And essentially, the process is the same as election day, but because it's early voting, there's some different things that have to happen because of it. And the biggest thing is that because early voting has shifts, and that the workers don't work the same, like they could work on a different team could work each weekend. It means that you can't just have one party judge for each party. So we have to have all of them be party judges. So there's still one chief judge, which is the captain, and then the others are party judges. So didn't want you to be surprised when you see a bunch of them and say, why did this happen? And then of course this adds a partisan process to one that wasn't partisan before. So that's a result of the law and voters' voices putting people in that wanted it. And so now we have election day as the bipartisanness. Of course, our board does. Early voting does, and then the map appointments. So I just wanted to make sure that was seen. There's all, there's the whole election system has so many pieces and all of these different ways that we work together, where there's some things are partisan, some things are not. So those are bring that up since this is brand new.
Yeah, no, Ms. Stein already has hers sent digitally, so this is the list of early voting workers. So as Director Duncan mentioned, this law came into effect very recently, January the 1st. We had already recruited for early voting at that point. We'd actually spoken with everybody, assigned them a early voting site to work at, and signed many of them up for training. So we're now trying to bring this into the new law by grandfathering these people in. So they were already assigned, they were already recruited. Met with both party chairs. They've looked over the list and given their approval to it. So next time when we do this, either a second primary or in the general election, obviously we'll have much more information and we'll be able to start this process sooner with the parties to be able to start. But if you'd like to take a look, and if you have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Ray. And thanks to the parties for working so well, so closely with staff. That is what breeds success, communication and collaboration. This is great. This is dozens of people in Vulcan County who want to make sure this election goes. It's just great to see. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Ray or Director Duncan?
Do we have any outstanding positions?
No, we do not. We've been full for a few weeks. Early voting is very popular. I think it's shift work. People work a 7-hour day. It's very manageable. People really like that a lot more than election day. In that, it doesn't the door to done hours.
So the people who are identified as captains are the only ones who can serve as the precinct captain.
Correct, they're the chief judge.
I mean, the chief judge.
One or the other of them will be there all.
Yes.
Actually, if you look at the orange coloring on the left, those are the morning shift people and then the PM shift people. There is always a captain. Morning captain, afternoon captain.
So if captain can't show up for the shift, what happens then?
We have a backup list of people, and some of our backup call center people are trained as captains. They could go out and serve that position.
And it's important that we have that because it is early voting, it's 17 days. So sometimes things happen in those.
So when you say call center people, so
Yes, but some of them are poll workers that go to work at the call center, and take those helpline calls. But they're also trained, ready to go be a captain.
So the people who are identified as workers would never serve as a captain.
That's a separate training for the captains. The workers on these units won't go to that captain training.
Just out of curiosity, there's a couple of precincts here that have co-captains, like two.
Yeah, so what we discovered when we have some people who, for recent specimens themselves, decide that they're gonna be captain for early voting and a chief judge on election day. So they work the full 17 days of early voting. They then have, almost immediately after that, supply pickup, chief judge supply pickup. Then on the Monday, they have precinct setup meeting, and then on Tuesday, they work as a chief judge. What we found when they do that is they're truly exhausted by Tuesday. And so the idea was that if you're working as a chief judge on election day, you would have a co-captain to share them.
Just keep making it better, folks. Thank you.
So
I hadn't heard about that wrinkle, but what is that? Yes, sir, Mr. Schultz.
Kareem, we need to remember. I noticed that it says the chair may delegate the appointment of replacement chief judges to the county board staff. So that's what you're talking about when you say people at the call center could replace somebody who doesn't show up or something.
The call center people are not on this list now.
But they could go out and
They could go out, yeah, they all have to come to captain's training.
the call center people are full-time employees of the board or people who are hired to work for them.
Two of them are full-time, one of them is full-time staff, one of them is seasonal staff, and 3 of them are poll workers. So there's a mixture there.
And you all may have already mentioned this, but for example, Black Mountain Library, there's 2 co-captains, the shift, the AM shift. They would just switch off as to who was going to work on a particular day.
Yeah, that the idea is that Bruce Stender is the primary captain. But you'll see he's got little red initials CJ next to him. That stands for Chief Judge on Election Day. So what we want to make sure, particularly on that last Saturday of early voting, when it's super busy, is that his co-captain takes that lead from him so that he has an easy day on Saturday, the 4th of March, so that he's fully rested for the primary, sorry, the second March, the early voting day. And he's fully rested by the 4th.
And what would happen, you would say, Fairview, where you want
Deborah Henderson is got the co-captain in the afternoon. It's going to be the one that works on Saturday, March the 2nd. We didn't have an extra co-captain to go in the morning, but that particular captain said that she was very comfortable working the early voting and just taking March the 2nd. So she'll bow out and take it out.
So you anticipate there'll be a captain and 2 workers at every early voting site throughout early voting.
More than 2 workers. Yeah,
A lot more than good. Look at each site. On that first site, there were 7 workers, captain and 6 workers.
Where, so are all these people going to be working every day
well,
for the most part?
for the most part, they don't have to work both days on the weekend. If it's open both days of the weekend, they will divide between themselves who works on Saturday, who works on Sunday. And also some of them, because it's a long stretch, there are some people that have said ahead of time, you know, I can't come on Wednesday, I have a doctor's appointment. And so some of them we've already found them a substitute for that day. Although that slate of workers should be substantially similar every day, there may be some tweaks.
So if there's a challenge to a voter, and I know that doesn't happen very much at the polls, how do you pick who's going to be the other 2 people to hear besides the
They would,
co-captain?
they would
There's,
call our office if there's a challenge, and at that point we will check the list of people that's working and make sure that we've got 1 Republican and 1 Democrat that can take on that role that day.
Ms. Stein, did you have any questions about the early voting appointments? Don't want to leave you out of the conversation. Yeah, I'm just wondering if you had any questions or comments about the.
No, I think everything's been covered from my point of view. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, does anyone have any more questions or comments? Under the circumstances, I will make a motion to approve the staff proposal on early voting election official appointments for the 2024 primary. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Ms. Stein, do you favor the motion or oppose the motion?
Yes, aye.
All righty, the motion carries 4-0. Thank you, Ms. Ray. Thank you so much. It's great having every slot filled, but especially the thought that went into making sure that everything transitions smoothly from early voting to election day. Which is no, I'm sorry that individual has been sworn in. I'm not sure that individual's party affiliation.
To this point, would you also like to make a motion to delegate the responsibility to staff to use those backups, normalize the backup?
Yes. We need. That's the chair's. Exercise test. Alrighty, so that's item 4, early voting election official appointments. Before I move to the final item, wondering if anyone has any questions or comments for the board. Again, thank you everybody for being here. For community participation. I'll conclude by reminding everybody that our next, I missed one, Mr. Stover.
On 57-1, how are they gonna be notified that the polling is going to be at the church at the fire station? Is that this one, or are they gonna get another mail?
They'll get this, so they should be getting.
Hopefully. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, January 30th, in this room at 3:30 p.m. It's at 3:30 because we're doing absentee ballots. It's time. It's hard to believe it is here already. Just a little background. This is a primary, and so we'll get a bunch of absentee ballots for that first meeting. They'll kind of taper off until the last meeting, and you get a whole bunch of them. It's very, but we've learned that during primaries, a lot of people wait until the latter stages of the early voting period to cast their ballot, unlike a general election. I don't wait. Alrighty, folks. Thank you again for coming. And unless there is any more business to come before this board today, meeting adjourned.